Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather and also the tropics. So we have many things going on. Let's see the severe weather and the heat wave first. But stay tuned for the tropics. We have some new data. So let's see here the severe weather. There's still this light risk across parts of the northern plains and also the upper Midwest. We have like from Nebraska into North South Dakota and Minnesota and also in Michigan this small slight risk. So we have a 5% tornado threat today spots of North Dakota, South Dakota, and this 2% as well. So it's more elevated in the Dakota, so be careful this afternoon and evening. There's wind as well. 15 and 5% in all the areas, including the marginal risks, and this 15% in the slight risk is hedged for some significant wind gusts, potentially some hurricane force winds with some of those storms. So stay safe in those areas. There's hail too, and also some significant hail possible in spots of North and South Dakota and into northern Nebraska. So stay safe. Some instances of 2 inch plus hail or larger, so be careful in those areas. There's also 15% wind threat in Michigan there. So be careful. There's this margin risk goes all the way to Florida. So let's see. At least widely scattered thunderstorms expected late this afternoon and evening across the Dakotas and Nebraska, where very large hail, severe outflow winds will be possible. There will also be a window of opportunity for tornadoes this evening across central Dakotas, occasional wind damage possible after an evening, parts of lower Michigan, southeast lower Michigan. So stay safe in those areas, be careful. And let's see, especially in the northern plains, where a low amplitude mid-level trough will be embedded, speed maxima will move eastward from the northern Rockies to the northern plains through tonight. At the surface, some least cyclogenesis is expected this afternoon in the vicinity of the north of northeast Wyoming, while low-level moisture spreads northward across the Dakotas through this evening. The moistening will occur beneath the elevated mixed layer, mid-level lapse rates 8.5 to 9 degrees per kilometer, and that's quite high. And daytime heating will result in Cape exceeding 4,000 joules per kilogram, also high. So the elevated mixed layer will also act as a cap, and the surface temperatures will need to reach the mid 90s in South Dakota, and the mid upper 80s in North Dakota to largely eliminate the convected inhibition, the cap. As such, storm timing coverage is a bit uncertain with the modest forcing ascent. While storms form steep mid-level lapse rates and extreme buoyancy, and effective bulk shear in excess of 40 knots will conditionally favor supercells with very large hail, potentially greater than 3 inches in diameter. There could be also window opportunity for tornadoes as low-level shear increases in the evening, where storms will remain discrete prior to the convective inhibition increasing tonight. Otherwise, any storm clusters will have the potential to produce severe outflow winds of 60 to 80 mile per hour gusts, and especially in the deeper mixed environment further south in South Dakota. So be careful in those areas. It's still a slight risk for now because there's still some uncertainty about when the cap will break and everything. But in case uh, later in the day there's more certainty about the storms, there might be some changes here. So stay tuned to this site in the description, the links in the description, also the YouTube posts here on the channel. So in case there's an enhanced risk or something, we'll put it on YouTube here on the YouTube posts. But I think you'll be just a slight risk for now, but you never know because later in the day this will change still. So be careful. For day two, Saturday shows this light risk again, spots of Nebraska into Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and this marginal risk around it. There's also this marginal risk on the mid-Atlantic. So For Saturday, there's a 2% tornado threat further north in Wisconsin, North Dakota, and a small section of upper Michigan. Wind 15 5%, and hail 15% also in those areas, the northern plains, upper Midwest. So scattered strong to severe storms pose a risk for severe wind gusts and isolated large hail across parts of the northern plains to the upper Midwest, Saturday afternoon to Saturday night. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. Just seeing Sunday very quick here shows this light risk again from Iowa to Upper Michigan, and this marginal risk. So 15.5% probability and general storms in all the areas. So isolate to scattered strong to severe storms possible in Central High Plains, northern Great Lakes on Sunday. So be careful in those areas because this mid-level trough will amplify across the northern plains on Sunday. At the surface, a cold front will move across the upper Midwest near northern lower Michigan and central plains by 12 Z Monday. So be careful in those areas, and the rest of the days it's nothing for now. But there's still this elevated fire risk in Wyoming and Idaho. So be careful in those areas, and still for tomorrow, for Saturday, Wyoming. So be careful there. There's the HER shows the storms there, more rain across southern and eastern Canada. This goes, the HER shows storms firing this afternoon as far south as Mexico, as a storm or two in New Mexico, some scared afternoon storms in the southeast, in parts of Florida too. But the actual severe stuff shows later in the evening in North Dakota there, so especially like let's put north here, so shows like some start in Nebraska and South Dakota too, but I'm seeing like the stronger ones, the big severe ones, Central North Dakota, and also these ones in South Dakota there, but the hers like getting this into a line of storms, some damaging winds later by the evening into tonight. So if this happens, be careful there. It moves into Minnesota, potentially Wisconsin later into tomorrow. So be careful in those areas, but this might change still as well. There's the Cape does show this afternoon in Nebraska close to 5,000 joules per kilogram in Nebraska and those areas. In North Dakota, more than 3,000, and in spots of South Dakota, more than 4,000 joules per kilogram. So a lot of Cape in those areas. Be careful, and especially if the storms manage to fire there when the cap breaks. So be careful. There's the significant tornado parameter from the HER at 20 Z shows some values in Nebraska and South Dakota, nothing that big, but the show by 23 Z in South Dakota is close to 2.3. This is significant tornado parameters. By 1 Z in the evening, the HER does increase across North Dakota and South Dakota to 3.7, so it does show slightly higher tornado parameters later in the evening. And by 2 Z, still quite high in South Dakota, even to 4.5 in some spots. So be careful. The tornado threat might pick up later in the afternoon. So stay safe in those areas. And also, by that time in the evening, sun lapse rates close to 8.9 degrees, so quite high as well, especially like earlier in the afternoon as well. So some extreme buoyancy. Stay safe in case those storms will fire, but the timing is still uncertain when that cap breaks. But we'll keep watching. Stay tuned later today in their website and also in the YouTube posts in case something changes. So be careful. Now let's see here for some rainfall first. So still shows this light risk until 12 Z of excessive rainfall from Kansas to Michigan. So this is still happening, but the actual day one today shows spots of Maryland, West Virginia, there into Pennsylvania, slight risk of excessive rainfall. So be careful in this marginal from Louisiana to Maine, and also southeastern Florida, New Mexico, Texas, spots of the plains. Be careful. They choose still a tiny margin in New Mexico and spots the northeast and upper Midwest. Day 3, kind of the central areas, the plains into the Midwest, and kind of into the Southwest in New Mexico. Day 4 from New Mexico to to New York, and day 5 still across parts of the South and to the Northeast. So be careful this rain. And does show still day 1 through 7 this trend across the Florida Panhandle and more spots there for more than 5 inches, mainly across the Gulf, but closer to the coast, it might get close to 5 inches, close to the coast next 7 days. So stay safe there as well. Alright, it shows 7 days, some more storms in New Mexico, southern Arizona, a few spots in Maine, and more spots there in the southeast, more rain spots of the plains from those storms. So stay safe. There's still some extreme heat risk today, Friday, for spots of the Midwest. So still be careful in those areas, major to extreme heat risk. Saturday still shows like some major on the East Coast and moderate in the plains and Southwest. Sunday still some major to extreme spots of North Carolina and spots the Midwest into Virginia. So stay safe. Some moderate to major on the West. Monday, right? It shows major in the Southwest and also the Northwest, and still on the East Coast. On July 1st, shows still some major on the East Coast and spots of Washington and Oregon on the West. Next Wednesday still shows some moderate in the Southeast and Northwest. And Thursday still in a few spots, especially in the South. So be careful in those areas with this heat as well. And here shows like those temperatures till this afternoon, Friday, across the Southwest, close to 107, some 90s to 100 spots, the valleys in California, and some 90s further south as well. So be careful until Saturday morning. During the night, slightly colder. It's a few mountains, the Cascades, and there, but still some 80s and 70s even during the night in the south. So be careful. For Saturday afternoon to 109, the southwest again. Some spots even higher. Some 90s in the plains and more spots in the southeast and the valleys. So be careful in those areas. It shows during the night still until like Saturday morning. More 80s in the southwest during the night and some 70s. So be careful. So here shows for Sunday afternoon to 112. Again, a few spots of the southwest and 210 Southern Arizona, California. So stay safe. 107 Nevada in the valleys there. I expect some more heat advisories soon. Shows some 90s in Washington already. More 90s in the plains, close to 100, even Texas, 90s on the East Coast. So stay safe. And day 3 minimum is actually for Sunday morning, day 3 minimum. So shows some A is during the night. That's quite hot during the night. Please be careful. Slightly cold in the Rockies and still hot in the south. Shows like for Monday afternoon to 114 in the southwest again, potentially some localized spots to 115 or more. So be careful, especially in the valleys, some 100s in the valleys and in the interior of the west, even Utah, Washington, more than 100 in the lower elevations. For Monday morning, some A is in the southwest, some 70s, the Rockies slightly less in the mountains. But still to 111, Tuesday afternoon, July 1st, and 90s in the south, more spots there. So be careful. July is 1st in the morning, still some A, it's like 87 degrees during the night. That's extremely hot. Please stay cool, drink a lot of water. July 2nd, some 108 in the south again. Be careful, some 100 in the valleys and some 90s as far north as Washington and in the south and still on the east coast, some lower 90s. There's Wednesday morning, July 2nd, the mountains, slightly less. And for Thursday afternoon, July 1st, so 90s, the plains, the south, on the east coast, and lower 90s. And still more than 100 in the southwest and those areas. So stay safe. For Friday today, shows slightly breezier, some spots of the northwest. There, some more wind, nothing too crazy, and a few spots in the mountains near Southern California, in the West Coast, but nothing too crazy. And snow, not really anything, it's too warm, but rain does show for 48 hours here, like especially the Northeast, more rain, and spots in Florida, right, in the storms in the Midwest next 2 days. So be careful in those areas. And we have this area to watch in the Gulf, in the Atlantic. It has a very, very low chance, but it might try to spin up into something. So an area of showers, thunderstorms currently over northwest and Caribbean Sea, and adjacent areas expected to move west northwestward into the Bay of Campeche Saturday or Saturday night, where low pressure area could form. Subsequent slow development is possible on Sunday or Monday if the system remains offshore on the coast of Mexico. Regardless of development, locally heavy rains possible portions of Belize, Guatemala, and southeastern Mexico during the next few days. So be careful in those areas, the heavy rain, and we'll keep watching in case this forms or not. In the Eastern Pacific, there's this area already to 90% chance next 7 days and 50% next 2 days. So showers, thunderstorms associated broader low pressure located a few hundred miles south of the Gulf of Tepic, currently poorly organized, but environmental conditions are forecast to become more conducive for development during the next couple of days. A tropical depression is expected to form by late this weekend, while the system moves slowly west-northwestward near the coast of southern Mexico. So be aware because this might pass very close to the Mexico coast. So we will keep watching. The operational models themselves don't have much in the Gulf, just like this blob of moisture. But the European does try to form the one on the Pacific side there. And even the GFS is not too excited about the Gulf, but it does show like that moisture in Belize, Mexico, and those areas. It tries to get a circulation, but like not really, and then it fades there. But it does get like the Eastern Pacific one to become a hurricane and pass like literally in the Mexico coast. So let's hope that doesn't happen, but you might want to watch this if you are on the west coast of Mexico. So there's the Canadian model too. It shows like in the Gulf that disturbance, but it doesn't form it into a tropical cyclone. But yeah, it tries to, but let's see the 12Z from yesterday because this today is not complete the run. So it goes, and then it goes into Eastern Mexico with more rain, but it doesn't really form into anything. The Canadian just forms the one on the Eastern Pacific side. So we'll keep watching, but this one in the Gulf just like a very low chance. But like the European computer model that does have a 60% chance of a tropical depression forming there in the Gulf. So that's a quite high chance in the Eastern Pacific, right? To like 90 to 100% chance of a tropical depression. It continues the southwestern Gulf. This array July 1st, still 60%, and then it lowers down later. But later does have more percentages in the Eastern Pacific possible. And there's this area to watch near the East Coast as well, like there's a 30% chance of a tropical depression by July 5th. And there's like the tropical storm probability just 5 to 10% there in the Gulf. That's just like a 10%. So a very low chance, but we'll keep watching. Later by July 5th, it does have the Atlantic coast there some 5 to 10% chance as well. So we'll keep watching, especially like let's see here if this works because yeah, so around July 5th and July 6th does show near there. But we'll keep watching. But the imminent thing now is in the Eastern Pacific because the Atlantic is still kind of quiet. But the ensembles long range does show a few European ensembles near the East Coast trying to form something. And the Gulf, just like this, is like less than a tropical depression. there are a few green ones there, like low-end tropical storm, but this like too little support. Only a few members show this, so we'll keep watching, especially the East Coast zone and the Gulf zone, but there's still like very low support. There's the GFS, it does have a scared finger to the North Atlantic, but like almost no support, and does have right in the southwesternmost Gulf, but it's just light blue, like just a disturbance, not even a tropical depression. But we'll see if that moisture manages to organize. And the Eastern Pacific, there's a lot of support there. So be aware, we'll keep watching those areas, and still shows here first like rain shows sections of southern Mexico there into eastern Mexico, some 136 millimeters to 150 in a few spots, in Guatemala to 100, a few localized spots, southern Mexico, 108 millimeters, near Acapulco to 110 in the west coast of Mexico. So this is the European model, and it goes like straight into the coast. It might not make landfall, but you'll pass very close to the coast. So be aware there. Especially this might cause some flooding and damaging winds if this storm forms there and passes right near the coast. So be careful. Shows in Nicaragua 290 millimeters, some 78 millimeters, more spots in Honduras and Belize as well. Be careful with flooding and everything. There's the GFS, some in Belize, more in Mexico and Guatemala. And it has the disturbance going towards eastern Mexico, more than 100 millimeters. And the GFS practically goes into Mexico, the system, the Eastern Pacific. Already has more than 200 millimeters in Acapulco. So we better watch this very closely there. And the GFS still shows stuff in Nicaragua to more than 180 millimeters. So still be careful there. Costa Rica, those areas. The icon just there in the ocean has more rain, but the Nicaragua coast, close to 100, shows sections of southern Mexico to 174 millimeters, near Belize and eastern Mexico because of that disturbance. So in all of those areas, be careful with flooding and landslides and everything, and also western Mexico because the monsoon building. So western Mexico already shows you like some 126 millimeters. So be careful in those sections there and stay safe. In Canada, those storms show like some 80 millimeters near southern Quebec, even close to 100 on the icon. The European next 5 days to 137 millimeters, some spots in southern Quebec. So be careful in those areas. Just next 3 days already show spots to like some 81 millimeters. So be careful those storms in eastern Canada. Might be some heavy rain into southern Nova Scotia too. And further west, those storms scared some spots western Canada. Nothing too crazy in terms of rainfall, but be aware with those storms too. And shows like in Nunavut, more rain as well. Spots of Yukon, even into Alaska, more rain in a few areas. And snow shows still some snow in Nunavut, very little, but does show some there and some the mountains near Alaska and Yukon. So stay safe. And I don't know what the European is thinking, but it does show like northern Wyoming to like 1 inch of snow or something. The GFS and the icon nothing. So just the Europeans with this thing here. But yeah, I think it's too hot for snow down there. But the European even shows in the Canadian Rockies a thing or two. So we'll keep watching, but if this happens, it'll be like very, very little. And yeah, so just checking those storms here in Canada, see if there's anything special for today. So this is Thursday, so day two, Friday. So Friday shows near southern Manitoba and southern Saskatchewan a high chance of strong to severe storms already. Near southwestern Manitoba, southeastern Saskatchewan, some possible severe storms with 90 to 110 km per gust, some 4 to 6 centimeter hail, even some 50 millimeters of rainfall, and a tornado or two. So be careful in those areas, especially southern Manitoba and Saskatchewan, some severe storms. And also in all these gray areas, some strong storms possible as well, with some hail and gusty winds. So stay safe. In Ontario, far southern Ontario as well, especially like because this is right next to that slight risk in Michigan in the US. So be careful. There's day two, and I think yeah, this is more like Friday today. A moderate in that same area, for especially some strong winds and heavy rain. And there's day three right here for Western Ontario. So BOR shows Atlantic Canada a thing or two in Quebec. And this is Thursday, I think. So Friday shows nothing too crazy, but especially like this is valid Thursday through Friday. It's just a storm or two. And yeah, northwestern Canada storm or two further northwestern territories, but very little. And still Yukon into British Columbia, a couple areas of storm or two with some heavy rain or some gusty winds possible. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. And yeah, and day three for Western Ontario, right, shows 70 to 90 km per Gus and some 3 centimeter hail. So we'll keep watching those areas, but yeah, be careful. Shows like those temperatures still across southern Canada, slightly hotter across like central Canada, some 29 degrees, spots to 28, some 27. So be aware still those areas slightly colder in the Rockies near Yukon into Alaska, but still uh, mostly hotter across southern Canada. Those areas still into 29. And yeah, so be aware, Saturday into Sunday still very mild to warm and kind of hot is further south, especially southernmost Ontario there, close to 30 degrees, and a few other spots further south. Sunday, Monday, slightly colder in northern British Columbia, those areas. And then this goes very warm to hot in southern Quebec and Ontario Monday afternoon, and southernmost British Columbia as well in those valleys. So be aware, spots of southern Alberta, Saskatchewan, much warmer. And then yeah, this goes and still by July 2nd, very hot southern Saskatchewan. So stay safe in those areas. Still shows like wind. Nothing too crazy, but shows a couple spots in the northern Rockies in the US, Montana, by this evening, slightly windier, and then Saturday, there are a couple spots near the Rockies, the West Coast, and let's see, especially Monday, Sunday to Monday, southern Saskatchewan, slightly breezier, nothing crazy. And then it still shows stuff on the west layer, some isolated spots of stronger winds, but this will still change. And we'll keep watching. So be aware, but especially that severe weather and the heavy rain further in Central America and everything. So be careful. Still remember across northern Mexico, very hot, some 42 degrees in those areas, 38 to 40. So still be careful, especially like this weekend into next week, some 40 degrees in Hermosillo. Sunday, like 44 degrees in Western Mexico, 44 grados, mucho calor. So stay safe. There's some 43 degrees, so stay cool. Drink a lot of water. Still by like July 1st, still shows further northwestern Mexico to 45 degrees even. So further into July 1st and 43, July 2nd, slightly better, but still more than 40. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. The photo of the day is this big storm I saw in Brazil in the ocean like 2 years ago. Very beautiful. So stay safe.